Hello dear students, today we are going to examine one of the most extraordinary of the special senses, vision, and the human eye. Now the human eye has a great range of capabilities. It may not be able to see as much in the dark as an owl can, but it's a very adaptable and another extraordinary structure. We begin our study of the eye by examining the anatomy of the eyeball, its various coverings and their functions, the cornea, sclera, uvea, and retina, and the photoreceptors of the retina, rods and cones that allow us to perceive different shades and colors of light. We also review the structure and functions of other components of the eye, the lens, eyelids, lacrimal glands, and ducts. Next, we consider how the eye perceives light and how the brain converts those perceptions into meaningful information. Finally, the lecture reviews the most common eye disorders and their treatments. Our visual perception is dependent on the eye, its accessory structures, the optic tracts, and the visual cortex and its association areas. Vision is possible because of photoreceptors that detect light. The upper and lower palpebrae are the eyelids. Cranial nerve third, oculomotor, supplies 4 of the 6 extraocular muscles, plus the muscles that raise the upper eyelid. The conjunctiva is a clear mucous membrane that covers the white avascular part of the eye. Next, the lacrimal glands. The lacrimal glands are each about the size an almond situated superlateral to the eyeball. Leading from the lacrimal glands are 6 to 12 excretory lacrimal ducts. Tears. Tears is a lacrimal fluid run from the lacrimal glands into the excretory lacrimal ducts onto the surface of the conjunctiva over the surface of the eyeball. Tears drain into the lacrimal puncta, which are 2 openings on the nasal side of the extreme edge of the eyeball. Superior and inferior lacrimal canals empty the tears into the nasolacrimal sac and nasolacrimal duct. The right and left-sided nasolacrimal ducts empty into each side of the nose. Watery eyes occur when lacrimal fluid builds up as when something obstructs the nasolacrimal ducts. Blocked nasolacrimal ducts can be caused by an inflammation of the nasal mucosa, such as a cold. Overproduction of lacrimal fluid occurs in response to parasympathetic stimulation caused by an emotional response, for example, crying, and the tears spill over the edges of the eyelids and drain into the nasal cavity, causing nasal stuffiness. Anatomy of the eye. The wall of the eyeball consists of 3 layers or tunics. First is the fibrous tunic. Is the outer layer and is composed of the sclera, white of the eye, and the cornea, the transparent epithelium that protects the front of the eye. The second layer is the vascular tunic, is the middle layer and is composed of the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris. And the third layer is the nervous tunic, is the inner retinal layer. Middle tunic. Middle tunic, the choroid. The choroid forms the major vascular portion that lines the internal surface of the sclera. The ciliary body consists of two parts. The ciliary processes that secrete aqueous humor, the ciliary muscle that changes the shape of the lens to adapt to near and far vision. The iris is the colored portion of the eyeball, consisting of circular and radial smooth muscle fibers. Suspensory ligaments extend inward from the ciliary processes and hold the lens of the eye in place. Lens is a clear, membrane-like structure that divided the eyeball into an anterior and a posterior chamber. Lens is very elastic and can change shape due to change in ciliary muscles and suspensory ligaments. This is process of accommodation. The structure of retina. Retina contains visual receptors called photoreceptors, rods and cones. There are three general layers in the retina. First is the outer layer, photoreceptors, rods and cones. Middle, bipolar neurons, and inner ganglion cells, axon join and form optic nerve. Light passes through ganglion and bipolar neurons before reaching photoreceptors. The retina consists of two types of photoreceptors, as we said, rods and cones. Rods are abundant in the periphery of the retina, whereas cones are found more frequently in the central areas. Each eye contains approximately 120 million rod-shaped photoreceptors that are adapted for a low light threshold, high sensitivity. They produce low resolution black and white images. A loss of rods with age makes it difficult to drive at night. Cone-shaped photoreceptors function in bright light to produce high-resolution color images. They exist in three varieties corresponding to the type of pigment they contain: red, green, or blue. The photopigments are concentrated in the outer segment of the receptor, while the inner segment contains the nucleus and organelles. The pupillary response. The pupil is an opening in the center of the iris. It's composed of a radial muscle that radiates away from the center and a circular muscle that is in the center. Contraction of the inner circular muscle fibers, bright light, cause the pupil to constrict. Contraction of the radial fibers, dim light, causes it to dilate. Radial muscles innervate by sympathetic nervous system, but circular muscles innervate by parasympathetic. Accommodation. Accommodation is ability to adjust strength, shape of lens in order to focus both near and far sources on retina, controlled by ciliary muscles and suspensory ligaments. Normal image formation depends on refraction of light waves, accommodation of the lens, constriction of the pupil, and convergence of the two eyes. Refraction or focusing light. If the shape of the eye is normal, light waves are focused sharply on the retina. Image detected on retina is upside down and backward because of bending of light rays. Image is interpreted correctly in visual cortex. Refraction disorders. First is myopia, or nearsightedness, light focused in front of retina. It's corrected with concave lens or minus lens. Next anomaly is hyperopia or farsightedness, light focused behind retina, corrected with convex lens. How does the brain interpret what we see? Light must reach photoreceptors in the retina and be transformed into electrical neural signals in the CNS. The first step in visual transduction is absorption of light by a photopigment, a colored protein, then undergoes structural changes when it absorbs light in the outer segment of a photoreceptor. Light absorption initiates a series of events that lead to the production of a receptor potential. Phototransduction, conversion of light stimuli into neural signals, mechanisms same for all photoreceptors, occurs in bright light. Photopigment absorbs light and breaks down to two components, hyperpolarizes rods and cones, decrease in release of inhibitory neurotransmitter. What is the effect in dim light? How does the retina signal the brain if phototransduction involves an inhibitory neurotransmitter? Prevent release of inhibitory neurotransmitter equals excitation. Pathway of light. Light goes through cornea, through aqueous humor, lens, vitreous humor to photoreceptors of retina. From photoreceptors, light goes through optic nerve to optic chiasm, to optic tract, then through thalamus to primary visual cortex of occipital cortex. What can go wrong? First is glaucoma. Increased intraocular pressure damages the retina. It's painless and insidious, except for acute cases. Surgical and medical treatment is available for glaucoma. Next is retinal detachment. Retinal detachment usually results from trauma or acceleration deceleration. The superficial layers are separated. Surgical, laser and cryogenic procedure are available for correction. Cataracts. Cataracts are the leading cause of loss of vision. They are opacities in the lens and cause vision clouding. They result from injury, UV light, aging, diabetes, smoking, or steroids. They can be corrected through surgery, with or without implants. Infections and trauma, corneal injury, conjunctivitis, and herpetic ulcers. That's it, dear students. Good luck. See you later.